afternoon, everyone. We hope you're enjoying our live coverage of the Australian Grand Prix from Melbourne. Race 3 of the Coates Hire Supercars Challenge is next, though, and joining me for a big afternoon of action, it is great to welcome Russell Ingall back to the studio. Hi, Russ.
Morning, Jess. Ready to go racing?
Absolutely, we are. Now, before we preview Race 3 of the Supercars Challenge down at Albert Park, we should mention that your mate, Mark Scaife, couldn't be here this weekend for a very good reason. He was inducted into the Australian Motorsport Hall of Fame last night.
Oh, really? Oh, good on him. Oh, geez, he's looking as dapper as ever. I thought he wasn't here because he'd be swanning around some corporate suite at the Formula 1 Grand Prix, but that is a good effort, and rightly so too. Mark's ridden around this sport longer than I have, and definitely contributes to it behind the scenes. Absolutely. Even up to that, as well as these duties on Fox Sports as well. So good on you, Mark, and that's the only praise you're going to get from me.
Oh, huge congratulations from all the family here at Fox Sports to Mark Scaife on his induction, alongside 21 other inductees. Larry Perkins was in the mix there, Jim Richards as well. You must be thrilled to see that.
Oh, great to see Larry. I mean, he gave me my break back here, coming back from Europe in the sport, and that's what kept up, and to Bathurst along the way as well. So good on you, LP. He's definitely a legend. Absolutely.
It's a great week to celebrate it too, obviously, being down there in amongst the Australian Grand Prix. It's such a great energy in the city, so what a night to be had. Now, let's look ahead to Race 3 today. But let's look back at some of the highlights first from yesterday, because there was tons of action on track. And Russell, right from the get-go, Race 1, the start, it is absolutely wild, and they didn't disappoint.
No, two Shell power, V-Power cars showing their dominance once again. Scott McLaughlin, a great move here. Had the elbows out on Jamie Whincup. I mean, that's a 6-time champion he's just passed. Cam Waters copped that by Scott Pye. He was inducted into the let's get the elbows out. And Nick Perkup, look at that, had a brake failure going into turn 1, 255 kilometres an hour. I think it was the front brakes didn't work at all. He's just ducked out and collected Lee Holdsworth, which is unfortunate. But the racing continued on. A lot cleaner start from the two Shell Power cars, except for this one. Chaz Mostert, who had a ton of pace in the second race, a bit eager to get past Shane Van Gisbergen, turned him around, and then poor James Moffat comes around the corner and a head-on puts both those cars out of the scene as well. Simona Di Silvestre as well. Now, this was a stuck throttle, so luckily it was on one of the slower parts of the circuit, not what you want to see or do. But Fabian Coulthard, he was on fire, and once he got the lead, he was never challenged, won by about 2 seconds. So a very happy team, and DJR Team Penske's first wins in Supercars, so pretty cool.
Yeah, 1-2 across both races for those guys. They are equal on points heading into the back half of this weekend, so the pressure is on between the teammates, absolutely. But Tom Chadwick is down at Albert Park for us, and he caught up with Scott a little earlier this morning.
Well, Scott, you must be happy. Finally, you got Penske's first win. The drought's over.
Yeah, DJR Team Penske, Shell V-Power Racing, to get our first win is great for the team, and 2 1-2 finishes yesterday was fantastic. We need to build on that now.
Talk us through the hectic start at race 1.
Yeah, it was pretty full on. I mean, we had a semi-plan in place. We needed to get the 2 cars at the front, but we didn't do it at all. So Fab's made a little mistake and held both of us up a little bit there, and Whincup got through, but managed to get back past him in the end.
And the move on Jamie, of course?
Yeah, Jamie's move, it was I had to do it pretty quick, and it was decisive. So, yeah, we always race hard but fair, and it's enjoyable against Jamie.
And just finally, the captains must be pretty happy with the results thus far.
Yeah. Roger sent me a text already, and a lot of the people from America have been watching. So, yeah, they're very happy and glad to see it's finally all paying off.
Scott, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Cheers.
Well, the battle between DJR Team Penske and the Red Bull Holden Racing Team was one that we really enjoyed at the Clipsal 500 to kick off the season. And no doubt, Russ, that's something that we are really going to revel in this year. Scott will start from third on the grid this afternoon. Fabian will start from pole position, and Jamie Whincup there in the mix again. How do you see it playing out between those teams today?
Oh, look, those cars had a lot of speed. They got fastest race laps in both of the races as well. Actually, Chaz Mostert, when he got going, put in a fastest race lap in the second race, but they're just so dominant. Like, I mean, they're just so quick. If they get the start, if Fabian gets the start, is going to be hard to be run down. So Whincup will know that. He'll want to get the start and actually fire it in there and try and hold him up a bit. But at this stage, I don't think the Red Bull cars have got the pace of the Shell V-Power, and I never thought I'd say that this early. And, I mean, they'd be wishing this was a championship round because they're so dominant. But this is what we've got to look forward to the rest of the year as well. So, for Ford fans, they'll be rejoicing. This could be the big comeback.
It's exciting, isn't it? But as you say, non-championship round, no points on offer, but that has not made one bit of difference to how hard these guys are racing, and we certainly saw that. A few unlucky moments for some people. The incident between Nick Percat yesterday and Lee Holdsworth was just such a massive moment and a really scary one. But Nick, just talk us through what happened.
Oh, like I said earlier, it's a brake failure in Nick's car. Look, at least he went off. He thought he could thread the needle between these two. And honestly, Lee Holdsworth, I don't know, is the whole black cat theory and the rest of it, he's just had a shocker over the last couple of years. Just collected the back of the Preston High car. And look at this, look at the impact and look at the guard going up, pushing all into the boot area, lifted a 1,350 kilo car up off the ground, landed back down. And you see the devastation behind it. They actually punctured the fuel tank. There was actually fuel fumes coming into the car, and Nick got out a bit wobbly with that as well. I mean, a massive amount of damage. That would be nearly a chassis write-off. They might actually have to replace that chassis in the BJR car. But unfortunately for Lee Holdsworth, they've taken it back to their Melbourne workshop, the Preston High race team. They're trying to fix it for Sunday. Look, I saw the car stripped down, and I'd be surprised if it gets back here for tomorrow's race. So they're definitely out for today. So that's two cars, two fast cars that are out. But bad luck for their teams. And remembering they've got to get ready for Tasmania as well. So they've got a bit of hustling to do.
Well, the good news is, while we won't see those guys potentially back this weekend, the good news is the other big incident involving James Moffat and Shane van Gisbergen yesterday, this one in particular, the good news is they've actually rebuilt those cars and we'll see them out for race 3 today. But this was a bit of a controversial moment involving Chaz Mostert, and Tim Edwards has had a few words to say afterwards.
Yeah, look, it's bad for James. I mean, he just come out on side. He was trying to get around Lowndes, James Moffat, and hit him head on. But Tim Edwards has come out and said, oh, we want consistency. And this is about the Winterbottom Wing Cup incident, which was a little bit similar at the Adelaide race a few weeks ago. I don't think it was similar because in that event, I mean, he was actually down the inside of him quite easily. But for that one, Mostert wasn't far enough down. So, Tim, have a look at it, relax. You know, that was Mostert's fault.
Now, we know how fired up Shane van Gisbergen can get. How will he respond today?
Oh, well, look, Shane never gives up. There's no doubt about that. I think he is a little bit more relaxed this weekend. He just doesn't seem to be, like, even after that incident, he wasn't that bothered. He's looking at championship. He realises, yeah, look, if I can go well at this round, no problems at all. They're not going to take any risks. They don't want to damage cars at all. So at the end of the day, he realises that. He's got Tasmania in 2 weeks' time, wants to keep those Red Bull cars straight.
So, who is your tip to take out race 3 here today in the Supercars Challenge?
I'm going to stay on the Fabs train. If he gets a start, he'll be the man.
Oh, cannot wait to see how this battle unfolds between, of course, the DJR Team Penske cars and the Red Bull Holden Racing team. It's been such a wonderful battle right through the first round of the championship, and no doubt this will set up what is going to be a really exciting championship feud between these two teams throughout the rest of the season. Who's your dark horse in this one today, Russ?
Oh, look, I like Caruso's. Caruso's going really well. You know, I was really impressed with his third-place drive yesterday. Nissan's got a bit of pace. So, look, I reckon he could do it, and he's starting up the grid in this one as well. So, yeah, look, if he gets a good start, he'll definitely be there.
He was on the podium in race 2 yesterday afternoon, so plenty to play for this afternoon. Of course, everyone wanting to put on a really solid performance on the world stage in front of the Formula One paddock. So race 3 is set to be action-filled. There is no doubt about it. Let's head to commentary now and say a very good afternoon to Richard Craill and Jack Perkins calling all of the action.
Was really good in race 1 yesterday, finished 13th. PB result in her all too brief Supercars career so far. Unfortunately had a throttle jam open on the Harvey Norman Nissan in race number 2 and ended up parked on the side of the road. A couple of updates for you yesterday, big dramas. The big talking point all day was the crash at turn 1. Nick Percat had brake failure at 250 k's an hour, ended up crashing into Lee Holdsworth. Percat definitely a non-starter for the remainder of the weekend. He's already down in Geelong getting ready for next weekend's round of the Australian Karting Championship, where he'll make a return in the KZ2 class. Lee Holdsworth Preston Hire Racing, they're going to work on that car and they're desperately trying to get back on track for tomorrow.
Yeah, both team cars are actually back at their respective team workshops. We saw the Albury team, Brad Jones, have got their car back up there already and they're busy pulling that car apart, getting it ready for the next championship round. And we saw pictures as well of Lee Holdsworth's Commodore back at Team 18, and they're actually trying their best to get the car back out here for tomorrow.
It's worth taking another look at that because it was a remarkable incident and it might be a talking point for a bit longer this season. So this was race 1 yesterday. Nick Percat, 250 k's an hour across the runoff area at turn 1 and cannoned into an unfortunate Lee Holdsworth who had absolutely no idea what was going on.
It's so hard to portray the feeling as a driver when you're Nick Percat there and you've got no brakes. It's the worst possible feeling at 250 kilometres an hour. And let me tell you, he's done his very best to avoid what's happened here. He nearly got the gap between those two cars, and there's the end result. A lot of damage, a ruptured fuel cell and a lot of rear damage, broken rear screen. And as I said, that's back up at Albury at the Brad Jones Racing Team headquarters, where the guys are getting that thing repaired for the next race in a couple of weeks down at Symmons Plains in Tasmania.
Well, that's right. It's less than a fortnight away, 2 weekends from now, basically. And the thing with Symmons Plains is you've got to get on the boat to get down there. So the cars need to be down at the docks, not too far from Albert Park, in a pretty short space of time. So a big job for Brad Jones Racing and Team 18 to get those cars fixed. But they'll be good to go for the next round of the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. This isn't for points, as we keep referencing, but boy, they've had at it so far this weekend. Chaz Mostert penalised yesterday for turning Shane van Gisbergen around in race 2. That caused some dramas, and there's been some discussions already about the judicial system. Tim Edwards, I saw, had a bit of a discussion about punishment fitting the crime, and also people getting penalised for one thing and not another. It's the age-old story in supercar racing, isn't it, about the way they penalise and judge incidents. And this a new system in race control this year, we should mention, that are probably still trying to find their way.
Yeah, it's an ever-improving thing, and look, it's hard. Every incident on track is a different corner at a different racetrack, and they're all unique. So, look, they're doing their best. We've got Craig Baird up there with Michael Massey, and look, they're working their very best to do something good. But this is going to be an exciting race. Race number 3, 13 laps, rolling starts, something we don't see throughout the Supercars Championship season. The red lights are on. Fabian Coulthard has control of the field, and when the red lights are out, the race is underway.
And for the first time, his teammate right behind him, but gets that critical inside run. But McLaughlin's starts have been really good. Messy lineup, but anyway, they go green. Racing for race 3 in the Coates Hire Supercar Challenge. Win Cup pretty good. Round the outside, the Red Bull HRT Commodore. Coulthard leads them through. Mostert's been racy on the opening lap so far this weekend. Bright's around. He's out quicker than Virat Kohli. Around he goes at turn 1.
Look, it looked like it was going to be incident-free, but Bridie's got caught up as we head down into turn 3. So it's Fabian Coulthard, Jamie Whincup back down the pack here. That's Garth Tander on the outside of Rick Kelly. Lots of jostling for positions here. Good 2-wide racing here. That's Courtney on the outside of David Reynolds. Can he stay up the inside through here?
Oh.
Side by side, this is great racing. Courtney still up the inside of Reynolds.
Yeah,
right. 5th and 6th.
Racing room given by Reynolds, but nice little exchange between those two. Caruso behind them. He's 3rd overall in the points. Was that Todd Kelly getting served? It was, and he's in trouble. He'll get gobbled up by Shane van Gisbergen. And there's a real freight train behind him here. Really busy. That's for 10th through to about 15th place.
It was Shane van Gisbergen, got into the rear of Todd Kelly. Shane's done a great job. He started the rear of the field, and he's got his way up to 11th, so he's carved his way through the field and done a great job thus far. Here's Tim Slade up the inside of his teammate, Tim Blanchard.
He fired it off on his 1 lap in Quali 3, Van Gisbergen, for this race. So started 25th, shown 11th at the moment. So the first 2 or 3 Ks of his motor race have been extraordinary. Down to turn 13. It's Coulthard, Whincup, McLaughlin, Mostert and Reynolds. Just behind James Courtney, 5th and 6th. Reynolds' opening laps so far this weekend have not been good, Jack. So it's nice to see the Erebus car basically maintaining its position from where it started. Just behind them is Michael Caruso, who's 3rd in round points for the moment, so he'll be looking to work his way forward. Then Will Davison, then James Moffat and Rick Kelly rounding out the top 10. 1 lap down, 12 to go.
So this is the first time we've been here with the super soft Dunlop tyre, and it's a fresh set of tyres for all the cars. Qualifying 3 saw them use set number 3, and they have to use that set for the race. So no varying tyre strategies this race. It is the warmest track conditions we've seen all weekend for these cars. but Fabian Coulthard's just snuck his lead out to 0.8 of a second. Scotty's ranging up on the back of Jamie Whincup. Those Red Bull cars, while they've managed to get a pole position for tomorrow's race, and Jamie qualified second, running second today, they haven't looked to have the speed of these Penske cars in the races. And you can see that straight away. Scotty's right on the back of Jamie Whincup, and it's allowed Fabian to skip away and get a little bit of a margin between him and the car behind.
And if you weren't with us yesterday, you missed out on 1-2 results for the Shell V-Power racing team. And Roger Penske was up watching that first race late last night in Detroit. This is the start. Now, it's all under investigation. Start procedure being investigated. There's going to be a bunch of cars in strife for that, I think. It was very messy in the back of the field. And that's probably how Van Gisbergen got a bunch of spots, because they were carving each other up on the run into turn one.
It's hard to work out exactly what's happened here, but there's lots of contact. There's cars 4, 5 wide. One of the GRM cars getting bumped wide. Dale Wood there off on the grass. And that's Moff, I believe, got turned around there on the exit of turn one. Look at this argy-bargy. Every Wood's up the inside there, which has then forced him into Scotty Pye, and that's what got Jason Bright. And then Moff's got turned around down there. You see exactly what happened there, but Simona Di Silvestro also off on the racetrack. Scott
Pye's just taken a tour through pit lane, and James Courtney's gone into pit lane and hasn't come out the other side. So he's parked the Wilson Security GRM Commodore that, as you mentioned earlier, was really good yesterday. Promising signs for that team that's pretty busy off-season building new race cars for a change of manufacturer in the off-season. So just over a second now, the margin. Coulthard to Whincup, then it's McLaughlin and Mostert and Courtney and Reynolds, Caruso, Davison, Moffat and Rick Kelly 10th. Van Gisbergen remains 11th. Just pop into the back of the shot there with Todd Kelly behind him, and then Mark Winterbottom 13th. Winterbottom with a bit of angst after Thursday, Jack, complaining about the braking problems that have been ongoing since the Clipsal 500 Adelaide, the first round of the championship proper this year. Seems to be ongoing. Had reasonable pace in race 2 yesterday, mired down in the field in race 1, and only 13th for the champion of 2 years ago.
And yesterday we saw a lot of brake lockups from a lot of different people. Cam Waters, James Courtney, lots of competitors were locking loaded side tyres. So obviously pushing those Dunlop tyres to the absolute maximum and haven't quite got the sweet spot. So Mark Winterbottom looking for improvement this weekend, back in 13th. Hopefully they've been able to find some of the reasons why they've had braking issues earlier on in the weekend.
There's going to be a post-race investigation as well for Shane Van Gisbergen versus Todd Kelly. We saw the back of that up at turn 7, the top of the circuit here at Albert Park. Fisticuffs on the opening lap, so I'll look at that after the race.
Chaz Mostert looking very racy here in 4th behind Scotty McLaughlin. He's been the pick of the PRA cars this weekend, Chaz. He's had good speed across the first 3 races, and he's showing that again here. He's got the lights on, looking to put a bit of pressure on Scotty, but yesterday found himself with a drive-through penalty after that contact with Shane Van Gisbergen.
What's the feedback been so far on the tyre, the ultra-soft tyre that we're running for the first time this weekend, that will be something of a staple throughout this year's Supercars Championship?
Boys, I'm just watching the vision here. I mean, Fabian Coulthard, I think you've got to stop sometimes and just take stock of what's going on here. He's been a great driver for a long time, but when we watch him now, since Scotty McLaughlin has arrived, I'm just watching now, he's punching out fastest sector time one after the next. That's Jamie Whincup, remember, behind him, and he's driving away from him. Now, Fabian's very, very talented, no mistake, but this is really, I'm going to grab Ryan Story a minute and have a chat to him. This team is on their game. The litmus test for me will be when we leave here and go to Simmons Plains, and if for 3 different circuits in a row they can produce this same form, this will be definitely the clash of the Titans this year.
Yeah, I agree with you, Larko. I mean, as you see, this is Shane Van Gisbergen trying to sneak up the inside of Rick Kelly, but when you've got 2 of the better drivers in the category, in Scotty McLaughlin, Fabian Coulthard, it makes you rise to the occasion. And Scotty will be putting in the pressure on Fabian, Fabian putting the pressure on Scotty, and the net result is a team doing a better job on the racetrack, and they've been able to give those guys good tools to play with as well. But it certainly makes you drive better, and we see that in Formula One as well. You know, you really need to push yourself to get the most out of the car, and your teammate is your reference point for where you are. So really encouraging signs for the sport to have someone to the calibre of Penske take it up to the Red Bull racing team.
And I think somewhat unfairly, there's been a lot of comments around that, oh, Rogers has come in and thrown money at it, and that's why they've got success. But money can only get you so far if you don't have the right people involved. what Roger Penske's famous for doing is building the team, building the right people behind it, and then empowering them to do the job. And I think we're finally seeing that after now 3 years of effort. We're finally seeing the puzzle all come together.
And it was no different when Triple Eight first came to Australia.
100%.
They grabbed Campbell Littles straight out of Stone Brothers Racing, who was the form team at the time. So they've done the same thing. It's about getting the people around you, exactly as you said. Put a good team of people together and build on that.
Lucky.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, they've just Penske's almost emulating what Triple Eight did way back starting 2003, 2004, taking their time, having a look at the category and building. By conversely of that, if you look at Lee Holdsworth, I had a good chat to Lee at Clipsal. I mean, he's down the field a little bit in a single car entry. So it doesn't matter how much data he has access to, which he can get through Roland Dane or Triple Eight data, unless you've got the guy on the other side of the garage on a similar wage package fighting for a pay increase or a seat the following year, the level of competition is not the same. So I'm thoroughly impressed with Fabian Coulthard, to go back to my original point, the way he's taken the choice to step up to the plate. Well done, Fabian.
Comment from Mark Larkham in pit lane, lap 4 of 13. Fabian Coulthard, Jamie Whincup and Scott McLaughlin, the top 3. More of the Supercars after this.
It's flat to the floor and far away, but you're right in there, beside the man behind the wheel. The Sigma Contemporary 150 to 600mm telephoto, full metal chassis, optical stabilization, handcrafted in Japan by Sigma. In close, it's the world's finest lens, by a long shot, from only $1,499. See the Sigma Contemporary now at DigiDirect.
.92 seconds. A single heartbeat. Adrenaline pumping. In the moment of pressure, the world's fastest pit crew relies on the world's #1 deodorant. Rexona. It won't let you down. Think you can handle the pressure? For your chance to drive a Williams racing car, buy any Rexona product and enter at rexona.com.au.
Alpecin Caffeine Shampoo sells faster, faster and faster. By now, it's Germany's most successful shampoo for men. When will you get your own Alpecin Caffeine Shampoo? German engineering for your hair.
Jet fuel's always worked in my cars. Try that. Whatever I'm driving on my way to dinner. With over 200,000 to choose from, Car Sales has your size. I don't know about you, but I drive a one-seater.
It's passion that drives us. Swiss, partner of Scuderia Ferrari. United by passion. To work with our hearts and our minds. To achieve our ambitions and push beyond limits. Power your passion. Swiss, official supplier of Scuderia Ferrari.
Oh, yeah.
That is more like it.
Bella, huh? See how you cope with this, Le Bon? Oh, me? Oh, is there no limit to his evil?
All new Top Gear, Monday 8:30 on BBC Knowledge.
Welcome back to Albert Park as we continue our countdown to Formula One qualifying. It's not far away. A lot of anticipation around this great facility. A big crowd here on Saturday. Looking forward to finding out who will get the first Formula One pole position of the season. Supercars are on track. There's 8 laps to go and it's Fabian Coulthard still leading while we're away, Jack. This was awesome. Tim Slade carving his way from the back of the field in this race. Cam Waters, bit of Tim Blanchard in for fun as well on the outside. Good little exchange.
Yeah, good clean racing. A little bit of argy-bargy. That's what we come to see. The fans like a little bit of bumping and rubbing. Slade, he probably didn't know that Cam was still stuck around the outside there, but he was able to get the switch back, got up the inside down the straightaway and got the passing move done.
And Tim continued his march forward, so he qualified poorly for this race. Ended up starting back. Waters continued on in the old over-under, and a bit more of a hip and shoulder on the outside. See that kind of stuff at the MCG on a Friday night. Good bit of racing, though. That's what we love about supercar racing. So Tim Slade's up to 14th from the back, and alongside him on the grid was Shane Van Gisbergen, who's 10th. So they've blazed their way from the back of the field.
Yeah, it's all spread out at the front, to be honest. I mean, the front four have all drifted apart. Courtney has managed to get onto the back of Chaz Mostert, so just starting to maybe lose a little bit of rear tyre life in the midway point of this race. We see here Reynolds also falling back into the clutches of Michael Caruso. He's done a great job so far this weekend, Michael Caruso. He was third on the round points, if you like, coming into this race, and he's got good consistent speed there, and always the most consistent of the Nissan runners and flying the flag there. He's got the lights on in pursuit of Davey Reynolds.
So very competitive racing all the way through the pack. So Fabian Coulthard out in front. It's been an amazing weekend for Shell V-Power Racing, the brand they're running under this year for DJR Team Penske. Mark Larkham, it's an awesome story, isn't it, the way this team has evolved?
Well, it is, mate. And we had a bit of a chat to Roland Dane yesterday, and he made a comment about how much money Roger Penske's got, and it really surprised me, the reaction that's had from that comment. Pretty obvious comment, I thought. But when you look around the room here, so I'm standing smack in the middle of DJR Team Penske. Now, one of the things you notice straight away with this team, forget performance for a minute, they look good, they look sharp. The cabinets, the octanorm, the panelling, the signage. Now, that's not money, that's a desire to look like you're going to win, even if you're not necessarily going to win. And I really like that in a race team. But a guy I'm keen to talk to, hey Ryan, sorry to bump in, mate, team principal down here at Dick Johnson Racing. I was just saying to the audience, I was staggered by how much reaction we got to my little chat with Roland yesterday, where he acknowledged, I thought, a pretty obvious statement, that Roger's got more money than he has. Roger's got more money than everyone. But I guess it's how you use it.
It is indeed. And look, the great thing about our partnership with Roger Penske is that we have stability, we have security. But let me tell you, he gives us the tools to get the job done. It's our job to do it. And when you look at the house that Roland's built, Roger and everyone at our organisation has tremendous respect for what he's done over the last 10 years. There are very few examples in world sport, yet alone motorsport, where anyone has been able to demonstrate that degree of dominance.
Hang on, Ryan, let me pull you up there. Tremendous respect to the point that you want to knock him off his perch and tread on him.
Of course, we wouldn't be here if we didn't want to win. No one's here to come second. No one's here to come.
And no one enjoying it more than that bloke over the back there. You can see Dick Johnson. Hey, Dick. Yeah, he's a happy man, happy camper. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate the chat.
Delighted. Thanks, Larko. Great scoop yesterday.
Thanks, Larko. He's up and about. Great story, Ryan's story as well. Well, literally story, how he's been involved. Started out with Dick Johnson Racing and helped facilitate that partnership with Roger Penske and building that program. This is an almighty scrap, Jack Perkins. It's the World Championship for 16th place.
I've never seen the race for 16th have so much intensity about it. The three guys here are absolutely elbows out, lots of damage, and the team owners would not be impressed, I guarantee you. There's a bit of unnecessary leaning on each other going on here, especially, like we say, it's only for 16th, but I'm sure the fans are loving it.
Forget the team owners, I love it. It's great. Good battle. Jason Bright and the mega forward behind them. Speak to Brighty. Is this going to be a new lease on life for now one of the oldest blokes in the field? Thought to be towards the end of his career as Dale Wood goes down the inside of Blanchard and they go at it again. But new start for Jason Bright, back with Pro Drive Racing Australia. New colours. Is it the lease of life he needs to continue his career?
Yeah, I mean, Jason Bright on his day is without doubt one of the best drivers we've got in the category, and we've seen that from time to time again. Bathurst winner, V8 Supercar race winner through the years, but I guess the relationship with Brad Jones Racing got to its end road, and both parties felt like it was time to move on. And Brighty's now with PRA, you know, a big four-car team, bigger in stature, I guess, to BJR, and, you know, could provide him with a lease of life. And I'm sure, you know, he would have been disappointed with his start to the season at Adelaide wasn't what he was hoping for, but it does take time. You don't just jump in another car and go really good. We'll see that with Bottas and the Mercedes team in Formula One. Yeah. It's very hard to just jump in and get to your potential straight away, so that'll be a watch this space story throughout the year.
I'm going to say, it's nice to see Timmy Blanchard up and about and racing as well. And I know he's only 18th and he'll want to be further forward, but he is an immense talent. Former Australian Formula Ford champion, great family, iconic Victorian motor racing family, the Blanchards. His old man so heavily involved in the sport. still races historic Formula Fords every now and then too.
They were both racing at Phillip Island last weekend, and I raced go-karts against Timmy. Great, as you say, great family, and good to see him out there on the grid, and yeah, moving his way forward, certainly learning more and more about the Brad Jones Commodore every weekend.
Todd Kelly following Shane van Gisbergen, their 10th and 11th. Todd in the car sales Nissan. His teammate Michael Caruso just a bit further up the road, P7 at the moment. Round points have Fabian Coulthard in front of Scott McLaughlin, 2:19 to 2:08. But McLaughlin's got a handicap because he has to start tomorrow's final race from 26th position. So he will have it all to do. He lost his lap time in the final qualifying session for a track limits breach on the exit of turn 12, I think it was, Jack. That fast chicane at the back of the circuit went too wide, lost his lap time for gaining an advantage. So he goes from the back, and it makes it very much easier for car number 12 to seal the deal for the round. But the other problem that he's got to deal with is that car 88 will start it from pole position. So there's going to be a really feisty battle at the pointy end of the field.
Yeah, Scotty will be looking to replicate what Shane's done, although I'm not sure we'll see the end of Shane finishing where he is. I think he might have had a little bit of a sneaky run up on the back of that rolling start, which might get looked into after, but it doesn't matter tomorrow. The starting order for that race is, as you say, from qualifying, and it's a whole nother race. But the trophies are awarded at the end of the weekend as accumulation of points, so that does hurt Scotty in the long run. But it'll be interesting to see tomorrow. Fabian Coulthard will be off second for the first time this weekend, with Jamie Whincup lining up on pole position.
The qualifying system I thought was interesting and maybe worthy of further thought. They wanted to look at it as a way of spicing up and perhaps mixing up the grid a little bit. 5 guys qualified in the top 10 for all 4 races. 7 qualified in the top 10 for 3 of the 4. But outside of that, there were 17 different drivers that qualified in the top 10 at some point for the 4 races. So quite the variety inside the top 10. So in a way, it has helped spice up the grid a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I spoke to the drivers after that qualifying session. It was effectively like doing 4 shootouts. You only got 1 lap in that session, 1 set of tyres. It was only 10 minutes. So, you know, the margin for error was so small that if you did make a mistake, it was always going to jumble up the order. And the most consistent runner was Fabian Coulthard, getting 3 pole positions and a second, followed by Jamie Whincup, who was 4th, 3rd, 2nd and 1st. But Scotty McLaughlin, he was 2nd, 3rd, and then, as you see, made a mistake in that last one, and will start tomorrow. So big consequence there for making a mistake in qualifying.
It's James Moffat, who this year moves across to Holden just to add another supercars manufacturer to his career CV. He's been in the Ford, the Nissan, the Volvo, and now the GM product. Just needs to dust off one of Betty's Erebus E63 AMGs and have a crack in that just to complete the sweep. But he's going well. He's had a solid weekend, and I think promising for everyone involved that both of these GRM cars have been pacey all weekend long. And I said yesterday in race 2 that I feel like the sport's in a good place when GRM have got competitive cars, because they're good fun guys to have at the front of the field. They're a great team. They don't do it an enormous amount of money, but Gary Rogers and now Barry, who's heavily involved in that team, give them the equipment to do the job. Great fun to see them at the pointy end of the field. Both of those guys performing well.
And we spoke about it yesterday. It's a learning year for them as well, because they've changed the aerodynamic package on the car. They've gone from Volvo aero package, Volvo engines, back to now Walkinshaw engines and a Holden aero kit. So they've found that the mechanical balance of the car has changed quite a lot based on that aero grip. You see here Moff doing a good job, and yeah, constantly learning now how to retune the cars based on the Holden aero package.
Bit of chat around that he and Garth have got the same ideas with how to take that car and what it's behaving as well, and that's good to see, because it might have been a character building year last year, I think, for Moff, perhaps the last 2 years, against Scott McLaughlin, who takes so much of the limelight. I mean, he is a superstar of our sport, but Moffat's not without ability. The guy can steer, so it might have been a tough couple of years, and this might be a nice sort of Control-Alt-Delete, bit of a reset for good guy in the paddock.
And it's no different to what he spoke about Bridie. You know, you come into a new team, it's very difficult to hit the ground running. I mean, Scotty's obviously doing it with Penske, but it is hard. You know, the cars are, well, they all look very similar. They've all got their little idiosyncrasies that make them difficult to extract the lap time out of it. Qualifying is the key in this game.
Should mention, while we talk about famous surnames, just want to bring up the Perkins surname for a bit. Great last night, your old man inducted to the CAMS Australian Motorsport Hall of Fame just in the CBD in Melbourne at a big function last night. Enormous accomplishment for one of the greats of our sport.
Yeah, look, something that the family is very proud of. Dad's achievements in motorsport have been awesome, to say the least, and really cool for him to get recognised at the Australian Motorsport Hall of Fame. And it was a great night, along with 20 other inductees. So well done to all that got inducted.
And some great synergies, of course, with this weekend. LP and his brief Formula One career in the 1970s. Probably would have liked to have gone on with that had the finance been available, but I think for our sport here, certainly many of my childhood memories were watching your old man carve up Mount Panorama and Brock in the HDT and early days of the Holden Racing team, and then Perkins Engineering and the Castrol cars and their amazing success in the mid-1990s. Incredible run of Bathurst victories. It's a great story. Well done to LP, and happy birthday for a couple of weeks ago as well. So a couple of laps to go. Coulthard by 1.3 seconds over Jamie Whincup. We're watching car 22. This is a car that you'll be familiar with later on in the season as you renew your relationship with James Courtney and the Walkinshaw team.
Yeah, looking forward to the endurance races, obviously getting back for the third year with that team. New name, HSV, Mobile HSV Racing, but good encouraging signs here for James. Hasn't got the first two qualifying sessions together, but qualifying 5th for this race, and running pretty good pace up behind Chaz Moster, which is very encouraging. Looks like Whincup is actually starting to reel in Fabian a bit. The gap's down to 1.0. It was right out to 2 seconds at one stage, so Whincup's obviously found some speed. Fabian might have just started to get a little bit too much out of those Dunlop Super Softs, and as we touched on, the sun's out, track temperature's the highest we've seen all weekend, so certainly different conditions out there for the drivers.
Talk about that team that for a long time the Holden Racing Team brand was the team name, but it's always been Walkinshaw behind it. And the rebranding of that team, I heard an interview with the commercial director there a couple of weeks ago about how they went about rebranding that outfit, and the fact that the number one thing they've been most proud about is the take-up from the existing fans that have come over from that HRT brand and stayed with the team as an outfit under its new identity.
Yeah, I mean, and it's full credit to the Walkinshaw family. Ryan Martin here this weekend. They do a great job supporting not only the race team, but Australian business, and the Holden Special Vehicles business will continue on. And it's great to still be flying the flag for Australian manufacturing. So still not, while the Holden Racing team has moved on to the Red Bull team, we're still flying the flag for Holden as well.
And there's a book coming out. Our great friend V8 Sleuth put together about the history of that team, a lot of the cars that have raced in it. Great heritage, one of the oldest, most storied teams in our sport. Final lap at Albert Park in race 3 of the Cotai Supercar Challenge. And it's so far gone all the way of Shell V Power Racing and DJR Team Penske. Coulthard first. Whincup's got the gap to under a second, so there was pressure. Coulthard's just got to hold on for half a lap to take his second win from 3 races. We talked all weekend about his Albert Park record. It's extraordinary. And since 2011, coming into the weekend, he had 16 top 10 race finishes from 19 races. So he's got 3 more from another 3 races. So he's just had an unbelievably good run at this place, and it's continued on.
He obviously likes this track. He really clicks with it. As you say, he's had success here with other teams. And so far this weekend, it's been a brilliant performance with the 3 poles in the 4 out of the 4 qualifying sessions. And about to, if he can keep it together here, grab his second win for the weekend. Puts him in good position for the overall results come the finish of tomorrow's race.
Well, and these two will line up 1, 2 in the race tomorrow, with Whincup on pole and Coulthard second. But it's the battle we've all wanted to see. DJR Team Penske v 888. And it's the Shell Ford in front of Jamie Whincup. Coulthard's got another one. The end margin was 0.8 of a second. It's just all building to the final race, Jack, tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be good. McLaughlin third, then Mostert fourth at the end. Courtney was 5th. David Reynolds P6. I think they'll be pretty satisfied with that down at the Erebus camp. We didn't see much of Davey in that race, but solid P6 for the Penrite Holden.
Yeah, absolutely, and they'll be very encouraged by that. It's still, I guess a relatively new team down there at Erebus, although they've been around for a long time. This is only their second year in the Holden Commodores, and Dave Reynolds and his engineer, Al McVean, are working very hard on getting competitive gear for Dave. And confirmation of the results, Fabian Coulthard picking up his second win of the weekend. Jamie Whincup in second. Third was Scotty McLaughlin. Fourth, Chaz Mostert. Fifth, James Courtney, as we said, that's his best result so far this weekend. As for Davey Reynolds in sixth, and Michael Caruso, first the Nissans in seventh. Great job for him, and he's currently doing pretty well. Third in the points, so that's encouraging for tomorrow.
Will Davison was eighth in front of James Moffat and Shane Van Gisbergen next, so there's a good scrap on for that. I'll lead you astray there. It's actually Jamie Whincup third for the round, so he actually just jumped in front of Michael Caruso. Apologies for that. So that'll be a fight tomorrow in the final race to see who can get on the final spot on the podium. Todd Kelly, Mark Winterbottom, 12th. Slade from the back of the field to 13th. I think the BJR cars have got pace. Craig Lowndes might in the midfield, as he has been all weekend long. They've got some work to do at Team Vortex.
Yeah, Craig's obviously not getting the most out of it. It's a new engineer, a relatively new engineer for him. He was working with Ludo Lacroix, and who sensationally left to Penske over the off-season. And, you know, Craig's certainly finding his feet to get the most out of that Triple Eight Commodore, and we all like to see Craig Lowndes running competitively. Young Alex Rouleau, he's very young. Most of his mates are still at school, and to be out here racing supercars is fantastic.
Well, what a performance from Fabian Coulthard. He started from pole position for race 3 of the Coates Hire Supercars Challenge, and he will stand on the top step of the podium. He is leading the charge there this weekend. And Russell Ingall, that was just such an emphatic victory for them again. He got in front and he was never headed, was he?
No, it looks like he definitely had the fastest car. We saw, actually, even in the first race when he was behind Scott McLaughlin, I think he had more pace, but yeah, playing the team line, which is as you do. But yeah, he's definitely got it sussed. I think he actually backed it off a little bit there, just backed out to Whincup as well. But man, it's good signs, really. Good signs for the championship to come as well.
Now, Fabian's a left foot breaker, one of 2 in the field. How much of an advantage is that for him at Albert Park?
Yeah, you're getting to know a lot about this racing stuff there, Jess.
Why are you so surprised?
I know, you're actually really good. You're right. I mean, left foot braking is like go-karts. So instead of everyone just using their right foot to brake and heel and toe and all that sort of thing, it's just like you drive a go-kart. So it's a lot different. And like I said, there's only 2 drivers in the field that actually do it. I think that's an advantage around a fast sweeping track like this. You just keep the car balanced better, and I think that's why his car looks a little bit better than Scotty's, is driving more so than car setup.
That's his edge then?
That's his edge, yep. Left foot braking. Not easy to do, though. Very difficult style of driving, because changing down the gears is very tricky.
And, of course, Simona Di Silvestro is the other left foot breaker, in case you're wondering. Let's look back at the start, because these rolling starts have been absolutely wild, and obviously it's very different to what we see throughout the championship. But how does 5 go into 1 through turn 1? Please explain that to me.
It doesn't. I really like the rolling starts. I reckon they should adopt them for the championship. I think it's fantastic. But when you see them fan out here, and you've got obviously a bit more pace going into turn 1 as well, as if you had a standing start, but you can't. I mean, you come offline. And Garth Tander actually, I think actually Scott Pye got in the back of him and turned around there. Jason Bright, he seems to be in the middle of every accident somewhere along the line. He has more bad luck than Lee Holdsworth. But yeah, look at him going around there. And everyone's just trying to say those gravel traps are actually, you can get through them, but you have to go through them straight. And that's why they try and arrow for the outside. And there's Tander's car. That was all due to the start, so he had to come in, throw a bar on. And at least he got out and got some testing, got some laps in that car, because remember, it's a new team and car for him. So no matter what, get back out there, do some laps, get some testing, and get used to that new team and car.
There will be a post-race investigation off the back of that pretty wild start, so stand by. There could be a bit of shuffling in the order after that. But as we promised, plenty of bump and grind. These guys were racing really hard. And Cameron Waters, again today, in the thick of the action. He had a few interesting moments with Tim Slade and Tim Blanchard too.
Well, Slade was coming back through. He had a few dramas in qualifying, start off the back of the field coming through. Yeah, definitely. This is the new Cam Waters, the new and improved one this year, and he's definitely got a bit of aggro about him, the boy. We saw that at Adelaide. He didn't put up with anything from any of the top drivers. Like, he gave as good as he got, and same with Tim Slade here. He definitely didn't make it easy for Tim, and Tim had a substantially quicker car. Tim wouldn't have been happy about this, because he's actually moving up through the field quite a bit, so he didn't like being held up. But that's good. I mean, it still blows me out, though. It's a non-championship race. And you see those sort of things going on, and you go, there'd be team owners and team managers in the background going, guys, stop doing this,
So
you know?
what would Tim Edwards and Brad Jones have been saying over the radio at that point?
Oh, they'd be just counting the dollars. They'd be going, there's another panel, there's another bumper bar, there's another wheel. But you know what? It's good that they do have a go because it's entertaining.
And plus, this is really the springboard into the next championship round in Tasmania. And as we said yesterday in our coverage, the winner of this round for the last 2 years has actually gone on to win the championship. So there's got to be some science in that. This is really a launching pad to get, I guess, the rhythm, the mojo moving, and to really, I suppose, fine-tune setup and race performance at a really different location, different circuit to the Clipsal 500, because Albert Park and Clipsal are very different.
Oh, absolutely. But you're absolutely right, Jess. Like, why I think those winners have come out of this race and gone on to win championships is the track's got a good combination of everything. It's got slow corners, it's got fast corners. So when you go to places like Phillip Island, we've got Tasmania as well that's got slow corners. This has got hairpin type style as well. So if the car works well here, it's going to work good for the rest of the year at all the other circuits, and I think that's why there's maybe a trend there. So if you're Fabian Coulthard or Scott McLaughlin and you're going, how good's this? We've got a great car. We're going to go to all these different style of circuits and our car will suit every style of circuit. So it's a good indicator. So you're right. It could be if you were in one of those DJ Penske cars, you could be looking good for the championship.
It is a real test, isn't it? Now, pre-race, I said to you after the disappointment that Shane Van Gisbergen suffered in race 2 yesterday, how would he bounce back? He started from right at the back of the field. Well, he's finished in the top 10. He finished 10th. Can you believe he carved his way through the field from 25th, and he's got a reputation for doing this, though he may be in a bit of trouble after that start. No doubt he got caught up in a bit of that action.
Yeah, there is a bit of a post-race investigation into this, and he might have had something to do with it. But look, this is typical Shane Van Gisbergen. Like, I've seen some of his online antics when he's raced Carrera Cup or GT cars. He is one of the best first lap guys I've ever seen. Like, he just threads it so well. He can judge the calls, go outside, inside, and get through places where you wouldn't think. And he's got that intimidation factor too. People look in the mirrors and go, oh, Shane Van Gisbergen, and they give him a bit of real estate because they know he's pretty loose. But I mean, that's a big effort. I mean, there's not a lot of passing goes on here, and when you get guys like Craig Lowndes, who's sort of been stuck mid-pack, and he just trucked on through. So very impressive.
He'll start from 6 on the grid in tomorrow's race, so let's see what he can bring tomorrow. Don't forget, we've got a massive weekend of motorsport action here on Fox Sports. Of course, the Formula One, the season opener, the Australian Grand Prix. We absolutely love it. That'll be live on 5:06 tomorrow. I hope you've all been enjoying the pop-up channel. It's been a lot of reaction to it, lots of great historical pieces throughout the week too, so we can't wait for that. And of course, the season opener for the MotoGP kicks off this weekend. 2 under lights in Qatar. The Doctor will be in full flight, and of course all eyes will be on Jack Miller to see how this year unfolds for him. And we'll be back tomorrow for race 4 of the Coates Hire Supercars Challenge. Fabian Coulthard with the edge over everybody. Let's see how the battle between DJR Team Penske and of course the Red Bull Holden Racing Team unfolds. No doubt it's going to go to a whole new level tomorrow. Russ, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been good fun today. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
I'll be here
race
bright and
4.
early.
Absolutely, cannot wait. And that's all we have time for today. Stay with us. Coming up very shortly, it is qualifying for the Formula One. Make sure you enjoy all the action right here on Fox Sports 5:06. See you tomorrow.
This has been a presentation of Fox Sports.